Hello everyone, I'm here to talk about Synchronizer, a plugin that I just wrote for Godot game engine, and the language that I choose for writing this plugin is GDScript, and it is supposed to make networking much more easier. And what I'm going to say here is that I tried to make a game, okay, and what happened was that I wanted to change a variable, and that variable's value I wanted to be synced automatically through the network. So that's just what I did. I created a plugin to just do that. Plus, I don't know if you know about this or not, but you cannot send objects through the network with RPC calls or with using a multiplayer synchronizer node. So I fixed that problem here too. You can actually send RPCs of any classes through the network without any problem. So that's what I did. I created a plugin that just does that. And yeah, just to give a little bit credit and attention to this guy, and so that you guys know I have made add-ons before, and this is not my first time. This is one of my add-ons that I created before, and it got decent amount of attention, and I like you guys for that. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm the guy behind this plugin that just wrote another plugin, another add-on. And yeah, before we get into this tutorial talking about the Synchronizer plugin, I would encourage you, if you don't know anything about multiplayer in Godot, I would encourage you just go take a look at this video. This is an awesome video by Fine.cgi. He did a great job demonstrating the basics of multiplayer over here, and then we are going to talk about Synchronizer over here. So what you're going to do, let's just clone this project and take a look at the demo. Okay, you can download the project over here, unzip it, and then open the project inside the folder. Okay, so I have done this before. I am over here, and let's just turn this back to what it was. Oh my god, because it was on 1, I'm going to just have the same experience as you guys when you open this up, so that you wouldn't get confused. Okay, so when you open this project up, you would see maybe this picture, or if you don't see it, just come over here, double click on this guy, and what you're going to see, let me just go over here. What you're going to see is that you can run the project easily and it comes up, but it's just one singular tab. You cannot test it. So just to test that out, you just come to debug, create, customize, run instances, and you're going to enable this option, and you're going to write 2. So it would run 2 instances when you run the project. So we are going to do that, and it would do this. I'm going to write a guy that is on this this and Ali. I'm going to write Erfan over here, and I'm going to host. Ali is going to host, and Erfan is going to join, and Ali is going to hi. We are going to send it to the network. Hi. Erfan is going to say hi. Erfan says hi with that ID to the network, and yeah, that's it. That's the whole point. You can say whatever, and it's going to be sent through the network. This is a simple demonstration just to show you how this plugin affects your coding, makes it easier just to work with it. Yes. And yeah, let's continue talking about how you can activate it, because this is already activated. When you add the plugin inside the sync add-ons folder, you're going to come over here, project settings. You're going to come over plugins. It is default disabled, but if you come over here and enable it, you maybe think you can run the project, but you are wrong here. It gives an error message. That's because you have other autoloads maybe in your project which are above the inner class itself. So what you're going to do is you need to put this on top maybe, or if you don't want it to be on top, sit the inner classes auto load near the other add-ons. Okay, so it would be on top near the other add-on kind of auto loads. Okay, so that would fix the problem, and you would just see it works. Okay, so this is one little detail that would maybe save you a little bit of time for setting this up. Yeah, that's it. That's just it. It just works like that. And now let's talk about the multiplayer creating for this add-on, and how multiplayer creating is related to Synchronizer plugin. It is not related. You can write whatever you want, and just Synchronizer works with your multiplayer. That's it. You do not need to introduce the multiplayer instance that you are using to the Synchronizer, and that just works. Okay, trust me. I wrote this. Okay, what you're going to do, what we are going to take a look at here, we are going to take a look at two functions, host and join. So when you click on host button in this page over here, it's going to run this function. What is this function? This function is an autoload, a global autoload. We just took a look at it over here, global autoload multiplayer. This is an instance over here. So there is host and join button on it. So let's take a look at the host implementation. It is nothing special until this line. Everything is okay, normal, like creating a host for Godot. And until this line, we are creating a multiplayer peer.new.initialize. We are adding an ID, and then we are adding a name to it. And then we are saving the player into a variable called me, because we want to have the a reference to the me variable over here. And maybe this is a good idea or not, I don't know. Anyway, and then we are going to run a function we just ran. This is a little bit maybe weird, but we will talk about it. Let's talk about this guy. What is happening here? I'm creating an object of the player peer, and then I'm initializing it with some value. Why am I doing that? Why not do this? Because I need to actually replicate a player peer object through the network, or I need to instantiate it through the network without needing to pass any parameters here. So if you come to the player peer over here, if you actually overwrite the function underline init over, it is not the signature actually for underline init, this is the signature for underline init function. So if you do this, when you new a player peer, you need to pass an ID and name into it over here. Okay, but if you do that, I cannot recreate this instance when I'm sending the data through the network. So you have to just create a similar function to it called init and return the player peer at the end, so that you could do this. You could do player peer.new.initialize, giving an ID and giving a player name, and that's it. It would create a player. That's it. And I'm going to save the reference to it over here, and then I'm going to say new player added me.run. Just run it. Run what? Run this function. But let's talk about this later on. I'm just going to finish this. I don't know why I came back to it twice. Anyway, I'm going to finish this. Okay, so I initialized it over here and I recorded it. I didn't send it to network so that everybody would know my name and my ID and things like that. I just saved it. Okay, let's talk about inner classes. What is this? This is a class inside another class. What is happening here? What is this called? This is an inner class. Maybe you know about it already, but I'm just going to tell you about it, that this is an inner class. You can instantiate it, and it would get the values you set to it, and that's it. Yes, so you would use it. You can use it inside this plugin. If you want to send maybe a player peer through the network, maybe just by changing a variable or by sending it to an RPC call or things like that, you need to inform the plugin about the inner classes. So To do that, you just go over here into the add-on synchronizer inner classes.gd over here, and you would write a code like this for this variable, class name to class name. This is a weird name, but anyway, you're going to write a player peer over here. The actual name that is going to be used over here is player peer, okay? And then you're going to add a reference to it. Multiplayer class dot player peer. Why am I writing multiplayer class? I could write multiplayer, but this is not right. You see, I am creating inner class before multiplayer is initialized, so this value is null actually. So what you're going to do is that you need to come over here into the multiplayer.gd and write class name and put a name for this script and reference it over here. So you would do like this, multiplayer class.player peer, and this would work, okay? And yeah, so now I can replicate, I can instantiate, I can recreate the object player peer over here through the network. If you don't know how I'm sending the object through the network, is that I'm not actually sending the objects through the network. I am making them I'm converting them to dictionary and then sending them through the network. I'm saving their type, I'm saving their data and things like that, and then sending them through the network. And yeah, that's how I'm replicating objects through the network. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so now I can send a player peer through network. Let's just, for the testing purposes, let's just not have this and run the project. It would get an error. Before we could do anything or anything at all, I am checking for the parameter values, and I'm getting an error because the parameter that you just passed over here, I don't have the reference to the inner class of it. So you need to actually set this over here. I'm going to tell you where this error is coming from. If you come over here, I'm setting a parameter over here which has the dictionary type of integer as keys and player peer as values. So my plugin sees the player peer over here, and it cannot find it because it is an inner class. It understands it's an inner class, and it cannot find it over here, so it would give an error. So this is important to know, that you have to give the reference to a player, an inner class inside this GD script over here. So that's it. And just remember that please do not rewrite underline init function inside inner classes or any object at all. Godot doesn't do it. Please don't do it. And if you want to have it work in the network, anyway. Okay, so now let's continue with what we were doing over there. Okay, so we were doing just initializing it, and I talked about inner classes, and we are going through this function. What is happening here? New player added, and I'm passing a reference to myself, and I'm running it. What does it mean? I am running it over here, but it is not actually running, to be honest. It is just returning a function RPC over here. If you take a look at it, function RPC, what is a function RPC? If you extend a node by Synchronizer. What is Synchronizer? Let's open that up. Synchronizer is over here, is a GD script, and it is all of this code is known as class name Synchronizer. So all of this code is going to be inside, is going to be inherited by this node over here. So everything under the hood that is going to handle the data transition and things like that is now inside this. So one of the things that is inside this over here is I lost it, function RPC. Yes. So I'm going to return a function RPC. I'm going to pass a reference to the actual Synchronizer node, which is known by this guy, the class name of it. yeah, I'm going to pass a reference to the node itself. I'm going to pass the name, that the function of the function, not the name actually, the reference to the function. And then I'm going to pass an array of parameters that I sent through this function. You have to just replicate this to this here, and then I'm going to pass a reference to the actual logic of this function, what this function is going to do. This function is going to emit a signal with the player passed inside. We are going to say this new player joined, and this is the player. And then we are going to say if we are server, we are going to change value of player's variable and add this player into it, and then set v it. What does it mean? I'm going to talk about it later on. For now, let's talk about functional RPC and what functionalities it has. Okay, why am I not just writing a normal RPC? Because, and like this, I mean, why am I not writing a normal RPC and call it with a normal RPC? Because you cannot send objects to the network and expect it to work, because it doesn't work. I tried it so much and I hope it did, but it doesn't. Okay, let's move on. This is returning a functional RPC. Let's take a look at the functional RPC. What we are going to see inside a functional RPC, we are going to see this is an inner class, like player peer we just saw over there, and it takes some functions over here like synchronizer function, an argument, a logic, and we just saw what these are actually over here, these things that we just sent over here. And then this is going to do his thing, and we have a run over here, a run function inside function RPC. What it does is that it actually runs the logic of the function on the same peer that just created an instance of function RPC. It just runs the function. That's it. The next function that I'm going to talk about is RPC. Actually, we are going to get into it, but it's just like a normal RPC function, but if you run the .rpc, it's going to actually do the RPC calling for every node into the whole system. So yeah, this is it. We are going to create this, and then we are going to do whatever we want to do with this logic over here. So inside host, we are going to simply just run it on the host itself, and not going to run it through the network. We just created a host, so there is nobody to run it on. If you run RPC, it's just going to be run on the system itself, so it wouldn't matter actually. But anyway, we have join over here. So what is join doing? When you click on join button, it's going to run this function. What is happening here is that I'm saving the player name over here on metas, and then I'm going to write a simple logic for connecting to a server, and that's it. We are going to return a true value so that we would know we connected to the server, and that's it. And where we are sending our data to everybody else so that we know they know what our name and things like that is, what is our ID, and where we are going to do that, we are going to do it with a signal that is provided to us, multiplayer.connect to server.connect on connected to server. So we are going to connect to this connected to server over here on this function, and what we are going to do is that we are going to create a player peer over here, and we are going to initialize it with our unique ID and the name that we just saved on the meta data of the object self itself. So we are going to store the player onto a variable me over here on line 16. And then what we are going to do is that new player added me.rpc. We are going to RPC this function, the function that we just run on ourselves when we were on the server code. We are going to run it on everybody else, and of course ourselves too, so that everybody and us know that we just connected to the server. So that's it. RPC just does that, just runs this function on everybody's system. That's it. And there is other bits too, RPC underline ID, which actually is going to run the function on just one player. And a request system, this is interesting. This is something that I maybe inspired by HTTP protocol. So you just run a function and you say server player says hi, maybe says hi, and then we are gonna return a function RPC. Okay, let me just copy paste this guy, copy and paste, and then I'm going to come down here. Let me just fix these variables because it is important to fix these variables. And I'm going to say what? I'm going to say that inside here I'm going to return a variable. What kind of a variable? I'm going to return me. Okay, so I want somebody to say hi to me, so I'm going to return my own reference so that I can get it into the response. Okay, so I'm going to paste this over here. This is going to be the response function. So what you're going to do is that you are going to run this bit, this conventional, this is the conventional thing that I just made up. Okay, if you take a look at the synchronizer code of the request, you would see this underline less underline plus function name. So we are running this function over here, right over here, and then underline rest underline on behind it, and then we are going to get whatever this guy returned in here. So response player, the player peer. Okay, so what we are going to do in here, we are going to say, oh, let me fix this, I forgot it, and let me fix this one too. So I'm going to say that print I got a hello from plus response player dot name. So let me just add a button into the chat scene. So after the networking is done and everything is up and running, I could add a random button here. Like down here, say click me, and I'm going to button up over here and say that I'm going to run multiplayer that what was the name of it? I forgot. That player says hi, and empty options and request. And you see I'm getting the from who part here. You are sending this request to who, and you could change it, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to send it to the server. Okay, so what you are going to see is that if you are the server itself, you are going to see yourself, and if you are going the and if you are the other clients, you're going to see the server itself again. So just to make it a little bit more understandable, I'm going to say I, and then I'm going to write who I am. Okay, I me.name, let's put it on single quotes, got a hello from this guy. Okay, so now let's run the code and see what happens. This is 1, this is 2. I'm going to say Ali, I'm going to say Irfan. I'm going to host with Ali and join with Irfan. So now if I click on this, I am Irfan here and I am Ali here. So now I could get a hi, I Irfan got a hello from Ali. And if I run this, because I am the server itself over here, I'm going to run a hello from myself. So yeah, just an interesting bit I want to show you. You send an RPC call, you get a response, and the response would be on this guy. And just have this in mind. If you have any parameters here, for example, p integer, and you pass it over here too, you have to have it over here too, because we need to know with what request we got what response. Okay, after every parameters that you have over here, you can have the response value. Okay, just have it in mind. Okay, so that's it. We are done with this bit. Just know this is a cool functionality that I think is cool. As this, we have another functionality here, request all. So if you run this, you ask a question from somebody that you identify here, and if you don't, it's gonna be the server. And after you ask somebody, it's going to send the response to everybody else into the network. Response of the question that you asked is going to be sent to everybody else into the network. And yeah, that's cool too. There is another function I wrote here, fire RPC. This was kind of a way of firing not an actual function, but actually firing the how can I say it, the signal of the function and things like that. Maybe I could describe it over here exactly. When I run this function, after I ran the function, I am calling a signal on this with this actual name. What I mean by that is that maybe this is useful for you, maybe this is not, but let's just do it right here so that I could give it to you so that you know there is something like this. I like signals, and this is what I do. I just create things when I create signals and to say everybody that what I'm doing here. So I just ran this. When somebody runs this guy, there's going to be a signal called with the same name and with the same parameters inside it. So there is no parameter here, so I don't need any parameters here. So I'm going to say print vran player says hi. So let's run it here. Whatever host 2222 join. I'm going to click it here. You see this over here. vran player says hi, and then we get the response. So you can listen to the response bit too. And let's test this out again. It could be one host, it could be two join, and if I click it over here, it doesn't work. Okay, let me just check it out. Okay, remember that I told you whatever parameters you have on your function has to be inside here too. Yeah, I don't have any parameters here, but if you go down here, we have a parameter here. So I forgot what I said myself to you. So we are gonna have it over here, and if you run it again, it has to work. Host to join. I'm going to click this. vran res player says hi, and we have the parameter over here too. So yeah, every function that you run on the network, it's going to call an event with that name and parameters next to it for the function. Yeah, just know that this is something nice that I just added. You could do this. Okay, and that's it. Let's move on to the next bit. What is functionalities this guy has? Functional RPC, I think we are done with it. We know every bit of it actually, and we can move on to the other part. What is the other part? You remember I talked about this bit. So players.v player ID equals to player, and then I'm setting the v. What is v actually? Let's get into the player's parameter over here. Let's get into the parameter a little bit and get deeper inside it. Let's see what's happening in it. So this is a normal node which I just ran some code inside it. Let's just take a look. If I go down here, we have a V. What is V? Synchronizer, auto sync. So these are the inputs that I'm getting, and I'm saving them inside here. So the value is going to be set to V, and the synchronizer is going to be set to self.synchronizer, and the autosync is going to be set into self.autosync, and that's it. That's all of it. These values are going to be saved, and the V is the actual value that this parameter is holding. So just know about that detail. It's important. Okay. So then we have pack parameter. It doesn't matter. We have record type. It doesn't matter. These are things under the hood. This doesn't matter too. This one we used. Okay. We use what? We use set underline V, and we passed a value. And we didn't pass this guy. What is autosync? Let's talk about autosync. We saw it over here too. Autosync is actually the parameter that if you set it to true, if you change the V with set underline V function, if this is true, it's going to actually make everybody's V of that parameter sync through the network. Okay, so if you change players on the server with set underline V, it's going to, that value is going to be set through the network for everybody else. So yeah, that's the juice. Yes, I did all of this just for this moment to happen, so that I would change the value and it would be changed through the network. That's it. Yes. And yeah, let's go down. So if you set that to false, it's not going to change anybody's value through the network. But if that autosync is true, you could maybe set this one to false, so that sometimes when you set the value and you didn't want it to be updated through the network, you wouldn't actually set it through the network, and it wouldn't be updated through the network. So yeah, this is an option too if you would want to do it. I don't see any use cases, but anyway, this is an ability over here. And yeah, that's it. So we have listen. Did you see the listen over there? We just wrote some code over here. Yeah, this listen bit over here. This guy just listens to whatever strings we pass over here. If a function is called, with that you would get called, your function would get called over here. And over here inside parameter, we have a listen function it just gets the callable, and it's actually calling the listen function we just saw. It's just passing the name of the parameter. So this listen guy is just a normal listen, but just sets the name of the parameter itself. You don't need to set it, so use it sometimes. It's useful. And when this is going to get called, in this callable is going to get called when the value of this parameter is going to change. So when the value changes, it's going to get called, and it's going to pass the new value into the callable. Okay, so we have a synchronize bot me, synchronize ID, synchronize from server. These are important features too. When you run synchronize, the value for this parameter is going to be synchronized through the network. What is the use case here? Think about a scenario when you know that this player just joined. Maybe he doesn't have this value at this point, so I'm not going to deal with the networking and see where he's losing the data. I'm just going to call synchronize so that I would fix his value with the real values over here that the server has, and it would just work. It would just syncs with your value. Synchronize bot me, it synchronizes everybody's value but himself. What is the difference between these two? This guy actually what it does is that it runs the value for itself too. So if you are synchronizing and people are seeing some animations, maybe you would see it too if you are listening to the variable changes. So but this guy, when you do it with this, you don't synchronize yourself with your own value, which you actually have already. So if this makes sense, use this. If it doesn't, use this guy. And we have synchronize underline ID. If you want to synchronize value of a specific person with your own value, use this guy. and then synchronize from server. If your data is outdated, you could call this and you could get your data from server. That's it. Yes, get the data of the server has and update it with update your own data with that. Yeah, that's it. So this is an awesome features over here, and let's continue with what else I can tell you about it. Let's go to the next page, which is over here. What we can do is that we can talk about how this is working. So we have messages over here, we have players list over here, we have a send button, we have a content over here. So when you're actually pressing this button, what's going to happen? When you press this button, this is a new script, let's take a look at it. It's extending Synchronizer so that it would have the functionalities, and it has a name, chat class, which is not necessary actually, to be honest. And then it works just fine, doesn't change anything. And then it's going to have these elements into the tree over here. So this guy is inside that, and this guy and that guy, I have reference to them over here. And these are the scenes that represents the player tag, which is what we add over here, and this is the message which is what we add over here. So yeah, and we have player tags over here, a reference to every player tag that we create on the scene for every specific player. Okay, so on the ready function, I'm going to do what I'm going to add players, and I'm going to add a tag for every one of them with this function. So this function goes through every player, and if they are not inside these player tags, we don't have the reference to their player tag, it means that we could create them and then add them to the player tags list, and that's it. If some changes happened to the players, we can listen to the event and we can run the function again. So this is something nice. You see how much less code we are writing. We're just writing so that if anything happened, just run this again, and that's it. That would just work. So that's another thing that's nice. We are just writing the logic here, and it's just working through the network. This is nice. So the other thing that we have is this send button. When we click on the button send, it's going to run this on everybody, on everybody's on everybody's peer. Okay, so multiplayer.me, I'm passing a reference to myself, and I'm passing the message that I'm sending. And what this is going to do is that it's going to create a message node. It's going to change the ID and the message of it, and then it's going to be added to the list of messages on the page. And that's it. That's just it. It just works, and I don't think I have anything else to say over here. You have most of the you are informed about most of the abilities over in this plugin. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run another instance so that we would see it with 3 people. So let's say this guy Ali is the host, and this guy, oh my god, this guy Irfan is joining into the chat, and they are talking, saying hi. This says hi, hello, it says hello, and we have a third guy over here, which I don't find it. Yeah, it's over here. Okay, I'm so sorry if this is taking so long. And what we are going to do is that we are going to say the name of this guy to Muhammad, maybe, whatever, join. So now it doesn't have the previous chats, but if we start typing something, we send it to the network, they are going to see it, and you see that it is working. And I believe if I disconnect over here, I haven't tested before, but if I disconnect this guy here, it would just wouldn't break the whole system, I would believe. Yeah, it didn't break, but it didn't actually do anything to them over here too, because we are not listening to when somebody gets disconnected so that we would remove them or things like that. We are not doing that. So if you could add something to it so that you would understand the functionality of this plugin, it would be this: you just start removing players when they are disconnected. So yeah, that's it. I hope you have a good day and you learned something over here. I just learned a lot by creating this plugin, to be honest. And bye bye.